The way that people got obsessed about One Direction is the way that I got obsessed about ppssssttt. I literally thought about these characters for months every day, which sounds like an illness. Hi everyone, my name is Tia and happy 1 year booktube anniversary to me, to you, to us. I've been doing this for officially 1 whole year and I thought I would put on the same exact jean jacket and I wanted to sit down and talk to you finally about my lifetime favorites. To get on this list, I have to think about them for months, for years, like let's get into this. I've categorized them into genres, and even if these genres are not really your cup of tea, I'm putting my whole heart behind these books, so definitely keep an open mind, and I hope you guys will truly find something special in these books because they are the most important books to me. So no one is gonna be surprised. Oh my god, oh my gosh, oh my god. The book series that started it all for me, Percy Jackson by Rick Riordan. I started reading this series in 4th grade, and I think the way that people got obsessed about One Direction is the way that I got obsessed about ppssssttt. I'm not even lying. I had a folder of fan art from DeviantArt. Like, I'm aging myself right now, but I don't even care. On my family computer. I was doing that on my family desktop. Of ppssssttt art, and that is where the fangirl in me, the reader in me, was born. The amount of times I have reread that one scene, I know you know what I'm talking about, in The Last Olympian is truly unhinged. It's so good. Oh god. The next kid's book that absolutely obliterated my little tiny heart is Bridge to Terabithia by Katherine Peterson. To this day, the movie still makes me sob like a baby, and Josh Hutcherson will forever be my first celebrity crush. I thought little Jesse was the cutest boy I've ever seen in my whole life, but at the end of the day, I think it has such a beautiful message for children, especially on how to process grief and what grief is. The author herself mentioned she wrote the book because her son David, his best friend Lisa, passed away because she was struck by lightning when they were both 8 years old. She wrote Bridge to Terabithia to help David through the grieving process, to try and make sense of such an awful, awful tragedy. So to just know that that's the meaning behind the book just makes it that much more painful and meaningful. And A Time for Dancing by David Herwin, I think, is the first memory I have of like hysterically sobbing over a book. I read this in 5th grade. These 2 teenage besties, they aspire to be professional dancers together, I think, and then one of them is diagnosed with terminal cancer. That was my first memory of it being like, wow, like my chest physically hurts for these characters. I've only ever read it that one time. Like, I don't think I could reread it. And then the last YA book I have is from 1st or 2nd grade Tia. It is the Things Not Seen series by Andrew Clemens. It's a story that I still really remember, and I'm 24 years old now. This guy uses a heated blanket, and then he wakes up one day and he's literally invisible. Like, his body is invisible. He's trying to navigate the world while being invisible, and then he literally like physically bonks into a girl in the front of the library while he's like butt naked and invisible, and he's like, oh god, I'm gonna get caught. But she doesn't know that he's invisible because she is blind. They strike up this unlikely friendship. I think she goes to a different school and she literally has no idea that he's blind, so she's walking around town looking like a crazy person, talking to thin air, and they try and help him. I don't remember how the story ends. I think it was just because it was so imaginative. It's such an enjoyable read. Every time I see heated blankets, I think about that book. And now we're gonna go into the romance genre. And if you're gonna take any book from this video, please let it be this one. Please let it be Jellicoe Road by Melina Marchetta. This book has an iron grip on me for the rest of my life. To me, Jellicoe Road is like the pinnacle of coming of age young adult story. We follow our main character, Taylor, undoubtedly is grappling with who she really is, her self-identity, and you just watch Taylor learn to lean on people who love her. The tone of the book is very nostalgic. Like, the whole book feels like you're getting a hug from a friend you haven't seen in a really long time. It is such a good book about connections. You follow a group of teenagers who are involved in these territory wars in 3 different Australian boarding schools, which I thought was like so interesting. It's such a fun concept. There is a past timeline from like 20 years ago from the Jellicoe school, the one that Taylor goes to now. You get to see the whole story unravel and why the past timeline is so important. At the end, you feel so satisfied with how cyclic the story is. Oh, and the best part is the romantic side plot is truly unbeatable. The build-up is perfect. It is exactly what I could want in a YA story. I saw this quote, I'll put it right here, on Tumblr when I was 13, and this quote alone convinced me to read the book, and then I read it and it changed my life. Ugh, my bum hurts. I need a pillow. Also, do you like how my coffee this morning literally looks like watered down chocolate milk? It's good though. Next up is You Deserve Each Other by Sarah Hogle. This is definitely a book that developed my love for second chance romances. It's the perfect mix of like humor and humility. It's such a stupid premise. This engaged couple, they both basically hate each other, but neither one of them wants to call off the wedding because then they would have to front like the wedding costs of like the cancellations and everything. So they are trying to sabotage one another so they get the other person to cancel the wedding. In between their shenanigans and stuff, of course, they kind of grow to appreciate what they stopped appreciating about each other and like relearn what it is to fall in love with one another. And that's so cute. That's so cute. A lot of what people complain about this book is how immature the characters are. But by the premise alone, you have to understand you're dealing with like these awful immature people, really poor at communicating with each other. So you kind of have to like stretch your sensibility in reading about these two. But the way that they started paying attention to the little things again, peak second chance rom-com type book, it was perfect. Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid is a love story, but in a roundabout way, it's really more about life. Character dynamics and complicated feelings and complex relationship dynamics. I don't think I've ever read a book where it's told in interview format, so you truly get to know these characters by talking to these characters, which makes it feel so real. We are talking to, in present day, the most popular rock band like on the planet in the 70s, and they're kind of reminiscing about their rise to fame, their roadblocks to fame, I guess. What I would do to read this book again, I thought it was such a fun and immersive experience. I think this one is going to be the most divisive. You either love it or hate it. Happy Place by Emily Henry. And I get it. I get why people don't like this book. But to me, this is top tier second chance romance. It's not rom-commy though. There's no comedy. It made me like literally sob. So it's not very happy. But it is. But it also is. I distinctly... Is that a dead rat in my pool? That would suck because I already had to fish one out last week. Anyway, what was I saying? Her last 3 releases I had just never really connected with, but Happy Place, literally, it was like reading my inner thoughts, and it was both terrifying and very, very validating. Harriet and Wynn are in a long-term committed relationship, but they are both separately going through a really difficult time, so they are not communicating with each other at all. Because of that, they break up, but they decide to fake date and stay together because them and their best friends are going on this like one last hoorah vacation to their happy place. Seeing them grow and be able to mend their relationship and start to communicate and share their true feelings was something I needed to read at the time that I read it. This book will always have a special place in my heart for just like pouring so much love into its pages. And the last top romance read I have is Thank You for Listening by Julia Whalen. It has a lot to say about self-love and accepting life circumstances while at the same time not letting those life circumstances get in the way of achieving what you want or going after what you want. And their banter is top tier. The dialogue and the writing is like actually funny. If you're tired of reading like the same contemporary romances over and over, Thank You for Listening is such a breath of fresh air. So for historical fiction, I have 3, and they're all books that broke my heart. The first one being The Book Thief by Marcus Zuzak. This is the first book that I was sobbing so hard that I had to put the book down and like wipe my tears because I literally could no longer read the words that were on the page because I was just crying so fast. And that is an achievement. The story was written in such an insightful and really clever way. It was the first book to absolutely shatter me as a human being. The next book I have is The Kite Runner by Khaled Hosseini. Again, memories of just absolutely sobbing my eyes out. So beautifully done. It rips your heart out and it just stays with you. It starts in Afghanistan, I think in the 70s, and you meet our main character when he's just a boy and you kind of follow him throughout the rest of his life. One of the most emotional and well-written novels out there. It's a classic for a reason. In the same vein, All the Light We Cannot See by Anthony Doerr. Like I said, the 3 historical fictions I have on my list are simply earth-shattering, heart-wrenching books that leave you in a puddle of your own tears. I will always carry those stories with me. We have 3 more books left. Wait, I lied. I can't believe I forgot this the first time around that I was filming, but I was thinking of like traditional books. This one is a manga, Haikyuu. I started watching the anime first. My brother got me into it in the pandemic, like randomly. I just wanted something new to watch. Immediately off the bat, it's so wholesome. It's so easy to root for our main characters, and the soundtrack is genuinely so beautiful. We follow like an underdog, underdeveloped high school volleyball team, and our main character is a short king. He's like this freshman, and he's really small, like size-wise. He dreams of becoming the best volleyball player in the world despite his height. He's got crazy high vertical. Oh my gosh. It's such a comfort media for me, seeing these characters persevere. You get to know a bunch of different teams of players, so there's a huge cast of characters. Haikyuu has some of my literal all-time favorite fictional characters to exist. You watch them chase after their dreams. The team dynamics are done so well. The actual drawings as you're reading, they are phenomenal. I never expected to be able to feel so much adrenaline, like watching paper people play a sport on a page. It's just a rush of adrenaline. And honestly, you and I wouldn't even be here if I didn't start reading Haikyuu. It really allowed me to express or channel the creative side of myself that I honestly had never explored. I didn't have a hobby before the pandemic, which not great for your mental health. It just taught me so much about myself, how to take care of myself, how to be better for myself. It's largely why I got back into reading traditionally published books, because I got literally obsessed with the fan fiction from the fandom. I'll say it. Haikyuu to me is up there with Percy Jackson. It is so foundational to the media that I love. At my core, like what I really cherish, Haikyuu is right up there. The first 2 being contemporary / general fiction. The first one is Memorial by Brian Washington. This is one of the books that in 2021 got me back into reading after college. Fundamentally, Memorial taught me how to see love in a different light. And I don't think I can describe it very well beyond that, but I did meet Brian Washington at a book signing, and I literally told him, like, you have changed the way that I see love in everyday life. Just to be able to tell one of your favorite authors that to their face. Wait, why am I gonna start crying? Brian Washington is the author for me that does human nature and human dynamics to the T. Real, relatable, raw. It's very touching, but it also feels very profound on a larger scale. Memorial follows our 2 main characters, and they are not gonna be your favorite people on the planet. They're very complicated, as all humans are. Sometimes they do morally gray / morally wrong things, but watching them make those mistakes and then seeing how they continue through life is so quintessentially human that you have to appreciate the book for what it is. It has so much to say about platonic, familial, romantic love. And my favorite book of all time. It's all the books in this video, and then this one lands on top. It is Us Against You by Frederick Bachman, which is the 2nd installment in his Beartown series. I think a big reason why I took a literal year to make this video is because I still haven't put into words how impactful this series has been to me. And I think the way that I can't put it into words really speaks volumes about how it changed me as a person. He writes really well fleshed out characters in a way that they will all pull on your heartstrings. Like Beartown, it encapsulates a hockey rivalry. This town lives, breathes, dies hockey. And you don't have to care about sports to care about this book, but the town very much relies on hockey for their like economic purposes and their community building purposes. And I think at the end of the day, Beartown the series is about community and integrity. Please look up trigger warnings. I used to go into books completely blind, like not even reading the premise or the trigger warnings. I don't do that anymore because it's bad for my mental health. However, I don't think I would have given Beartown a chance if I did read the trigger warnings beforehand. So I'll just say that he wrote this story in a way that made me feel so safe, in a way I didn't think I could read fiction again. There is a sexual assault trigger warning. I didn't think I could read a book that had that trigger warning until I read Beartown blind. It made me realize maybe there are books out there that I can still enjoy that touches on those kinds of topics. That's my experience. I'm not going to speak for anyone else. Frederick Bachman is my favorite author on this planet. He somehow manages to write two, not just one, two towns full of people, characters that you get to know so well. It's really difficult to kind of manage a big cast of characters, but it doesn't feel like a big cast of characters to you because you know exactly who he's talking about. The way that Beartown is just tied together, oh my god, you will be changed. If you decide to pick up the Beartown series, you will not be disappointed. His writing is insanely, insanely good. My last book on this list is my only dark academia, which is The Secret History by Donna Tartt. It's funny, I read The Secret History, Beartown 1, and then Us Against You, Beartown number 2, all in the same month. January 2022 was the best reading month I'm ever gonna have in my whole life, probably. I'm not exaggerating, and I wish I was, because that probably means I was more mentally stable. For the majority of 2022, I thought about the characters of The Secret History every day. I've never felt the way that I feel about The Secret History with any other book I've ever read. The story is so layered. The book is like all consuming. It has claws on your little noggin. And I think the characters are so complex and so interesting that we could truly talk about The Secret History for hours. But I do want to say and put like a disclaimer out there that there is a lot of, I guess, controversy about The Secret History and Donna Tartt in general. And I haven't read any of her other works like The Goldfinch, so I can't say. I personally feel like in The Secret History, she's like actively criticizing the classism and the pretentiousness of these characters, which is why they come off as so blatantly horrible people. But that is my opinion. I didn't want to just blanket statement recommend something that has hurt a lot of people in the past. To me, this book has a special place in my heart because of how much I thought about it and how much it affected me. I literally thought about these characters for months every day, which sounds like an illness. We did it! I hope that some of them piqued your interest and you can find something special in them, because to me, these books are truly so near and dear to my heart. As always, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your week, and thank you for joining me on my first year of booktube, and I'm super excited to continue making content. Bye! I'll see you in the next one.